COVID is the leading cause of police deaths in the line of duty. But it's not the only epidemic that impacts officers. And as part of our annual report, I want to share with you what we're learning. Death by suicide, what the Washington Post calls a quiet epidemic, continues to be the cause of death for so many men and women in uniform. Now, these deaths are not always counted under the traditional metric as quote-unquote deaths in the line of duty, but they really do show and reveal a wider way to understand the strain facing officers, because more officers die by suicide than by gunfire. In this past year, 2021, there were 130 officer deaths by suicide and 62 by gunfire. It is quite a striking fact when you look at it that way, that it's more than double. Now, I mentioned the counting because this isn't just our way of looking at it. There are these organizations and the FBI that looks at the threats and challenges of police. And no official organization tracks these numbers aside from one nonprofit, Blue Help, that looks at it like this. Now, this issue came to the forefront this year when 4 police officers died by suicide specifically after the January 6th riot. Those deaths not counted, as I mentioned, as line-of-duty deaths. Now, there are mental health experts who have a different view. In the Washington Post, they write that officers have greater exposure to trauma. And in the culture of policing, they're often not inclined to ever even seek the help that they need initially. After officer suicides spiked to around 200 in 2019, a police executive research forum put out a report noting that PTSD is 5 times more likely among officers. Indeed, 1 out of 15 experience depression. The overall risk of death by suicide, 54% higher for officers than the general population. So the numbers bear out what you might anecdotally think, that these things are linked, that these are very tough jobs.